One winter evening, Neville was having his fire drop for the night. He had worked all day and was looking forward to a good night's sleep.
All this hard work will be out,
he said with a yawn.
Indeed.
His driver chuckled.
I can't wait to get in my warm, cosy bed.
The yard manager came rushing over. Sorry to disturb you, but you're needed at the harbour.
What's wrong?
Asked the driver. Henry's turned over while coming out of the yards, and there's no one to take the flying Kipper. Could you help, please?
Oh, all right then,
said the driver with a sigh.
We'll do it.
Good. I'll start making the arrangements straight away. And the yard manager walked away. Neville began to feel nervous. He had never pulled the Kipper before. I don't know if I can manage, he said.
You'll be fine,
the driver replied.
Look on the bright side. You're not dealing with sheep this time.
Neville felt a little better, but he was still nervous. At the harbour, workers busily loaded the crates of fish into the vans. Neville started to back down onto the train. He was so busy worrying that he accidentally bumped into the vans.
Ow, ow, ow!
They cried.
Watch it, you silly engine!
Sorry, said Neville. I didn't mean to bump you. Well, don't do it again, replied one of the vans. We're fed up with the smell and the last thing we need is a careless engine.
Take no notice of them,
soothed the driver.
You're doing fine.
I hope you're right, replied Neville, but he said this to himself. At last, everything was ready. The guard showed his green lamp, and Neville started to puff away. But the rails were icy, and he slipped to a standstill. Oh, come on, cried Neville. I want to go, I want to go. But it was no good. His driver slowed him to a stop. Then she and the fireman jumped down with buckets of sand and sprinkled it along the rails. Neville sighed wearily. He was beginning to think taking the flying Kipper wasn't a good idea after all. Soon Neville was out on the main line. Clouds of smoke and steam poured from his funnel and into the cold air.
So this is what it's like on a night train,
thought his driver.
We should do this more often, old boy.
But Neville wasn't listening. He was too busy talking to himself. Mustn't worry, he muttered nervously. I'll be fine, I'll be fine. They arrived at a station where workers stood waiting. As the crates were unloaded, Neville kept talking quietly. I'll be fine, he said. It's only a... Neville jumped as Derek pulled in with a goods train. Hello there, chaps, he called. Oh, hello, Derek. Derek could see that Neville wasn't his usual bubbly self. Is something wrong? He asked. You look worried. Neville looked at his friend and told him all about how nervous pulling the flying Kipper is. Derek smiled. You know, whenever I get nervous, I think of happy thoughts. Do you? Replied Neville. Indeed, makes you feel a lot better. Then Derek looked at the vans. Count yourself lucky that those vans are well behaved. Edward took the train once and they caused trouble for him. Did they? Asked Neville. Oh yes, they were visitors from the mainland, and they pushed him off the track. They didn't do it again afterwards. Just then the signal dropped, and Derek had to go. See you later, Neville, and remember, happy thoughts! Neville watched until he was out of sight. It wasn't long before they were on their way again. Happy thoughts, wondered Neville. I'll try it. So Neville began thinking. He thought about steam, hills, sunshine, and the seaside. Hey, it's working, he cried happily. I feel so much better now. But it didn't last long. As they rounded the bend, the track was very icy and Neville's wheels slipped violently. The vans bumped and shook around screaming, "Ow, ow, ow!" until a coupling broke.
Oh no!
Exclaimed the driver.
The Kipper, the Runaway!
"A runaway," replied Neville, and the driver opened the regulator to speed up as the train chased after them. Suddenly, a large snowdrift laid ahead. Neville blew his whistle to alert the signalman, who quickly changed the points for them. The vans rumbled past and ploughed straight into the snow.
Well, that's one way to stop a runaway.
Replied the driver. "Very funny," muttered the fireman. "I'll go and phone for a crane."
Oh, so much for happy thoughts,
sighed Neville sadly. Soon a crane arrived to lift the vans back on the rails. The Fat Controller came to see Neville. "Neville, what's happened here?"
I'm truly sorry, sir, replied Neville. I didn't mean for this to happen. The track was icy and I was nervous taking the Kipper and I...
The Fat Controller held up his hand. "Cheer up, Neville. I'm sure you didn't mean for it to happen. But being nervous about something can lead to trouble."
Yes, sir. I understand, sir, said Neville. I just feel so silly.
"Never mind," smiled the Fat Controller. "You'll be back to your normal duties tomorrow." Neville smiled as the Fat Controller went away. He felt better now, and watched as the crane cleared up the mess. After that they took the train and made their deliveries without any mishaps. Not even one. It was daylight when a tired and worn-out Neville arrived home. Derek was in the shed. "So, did the happy thoughts help out?"
Oh, they helped out all right,
yawned Neville.
They made the train run away and chase me down until crashing into a snowdrift.
"Oh dear," smiled Derek. "Well, it was worth a try, eh?" But Derek didn't get an answer, for Neville was soon fast asleep. Poor engine must have had a tough night. Ah well, I'll leave him be. After all, he deserves it. And Derek the Diesel purred slowly away.